So here is my tidbit for today. We just had a holiday in the US. There are more holidays to come worldwide. Um, a really, really important tool to remind your clients of is that in family business, when we talk about the three circle model of family business, you can also think of those as three tables. So you have the family table, the business table, and the ownership table. The family table is the dining room table. I'm going to get back to that. The business table is where you have your staff meetings. It's the conference room table. In EOS, it's where you have your level 10s, your quarterlies, your annuals. In scaling up, I don't know the name of the meetings, but I know there are meetings, right? That's the in the day, in the business day-to-day conference room table. And then the ownership table is the boardroom table. Of course, in many family businesses, that's all one table. You talk about business, you talk about ownership, you talk about family at the kitchen table. You don't even go to the dining room. You stay in the casual kitchen, at the kitchen table. I'm pretending there are such things as kitchen tables anymore. I know modern homes don't have those, but the kitchen island, if you will. Um, a great reminder this time of the year is to please keep your holiday dining tables to family issues. And a lot of family businesses will say, the business is our number one family issue. So great, we're doing that. Not true. Family issues are things like how are we spending the holidays together? How are we spending our money together? Meaning that could be philanthropic spending. That could be how does the financial wealth that has moved into like a parent to kids go? This is separate than the business. Um, where are the holidays happening, etc. The other really important thing I want to say, oh, wait, there was one other thing about family. Um, what are our family values? These are different than ownership values, different than business values. They are probably very similar, but that's another piece for the family table. Another really important thing that happens around the holidays, of course, in many, if not most families, is traditions. When I'll say one of the least emphasized and most important pieces of family business success is the strength of the family. And that is almost always built on traditions. So it's the things that you always come back to as a family. In the US, the Thanksgiving, or well, I guess lots of other countries have Thanksgiving. It's just not exactly on the same date, right? It's the holiday traditions. It's how you spend your holidays together. It's where you spend them. It might be the food that you eat, the gifts that you give, the silly things that you do. Another important piece about the three circle model of family business is in the healthiest family businesses, there's a leader for each of those circles. It can be the same person who leads each circle, or it could be different people. In the business circle, of course, the leader is the integrator or the visionary, right? That's the leader. In the ownership circle, that's usually the chairperson of the board or the majority shareholder. In the family, the leader is the chief emotional officer. So we say integrator visionary in EOS. You could also say the CEO. There's also a CEO in the family circle, and that's the chief emotional officer. And it's one of the key roles of the chief emotional officer is to maintain family traditions. This is a great tidbit to give to your clients this time of the year. Actually, quite frankly, any time of the year. This is just where a lot of that shows itself in a family. There is a gigantically important thing that happens when families come together for traditions. Let me give you one little example of this. I worked with a family business going into the fourth generation. In the fourth generation, there were only sons. And the family was kind of starting to break apart. And they were concerned about that because they liked their family. They realized when they learned the chief emotional officer tool that their mom had died and she had been the chief emotional officer. And there is no rule that it has to be a mom, although it often is. And none of the four sons had naturally stepped into the chief emotional officer role, which is not to say that men can't do it. It just hadn't happened in that family. When they learned about it, all four sons said, we don't really want to. They looked at their wives and their wives were like, I'm not going to be the chief emotional officer of your family. That it does not feel safe. So now these four sons have organized it in a very business-like way. They take turns being the chief emotional officer. And I think it's 2-year stints. And they organize with their wives, they organize and host all of the holidays in a similar way that their mom did with their own twist. So that was the way they did it. But I'm just offering up, this is not a bad thing to put in front of your clients this time of the year, your family business clients. The 3-circle model reminder, the 3 tables, have the right conversation at the right table, and then dropping in this chief emotional officer piece is a little tidbit that may make sense. For the EOS implementers here on the call, I will either wait until I hear something with these four sons. I was hearing them say, we used to get together, we used to this, we used to that. That's when I offered up the chief emotional officer. I didn't just randomly put it on an issues list. I will sometimes just put it on when I have a sense, like an intuition, that that EOS isn't going as far as I had hoped it would in family business. And so let me explain that. What I find with my family business clients is EOS, like straight out of the book, gets 80% of the way for a lot of the family business stuff because it gets people in the right seats and it gets them talking and stuff like that. But sometimes there's higher conflict or situations where mom dies and the kids don't pick it up. And then it's just helpful to kind of give them a little more stuff.